Hello everyone, this is the Red Riot Robot, bringing you another video with logging July 2025. I had a very busy week in July, so let's get right into it. The first game that I finished in July is Sunset Overdrive. This is a very unusual game and very much of its time. It plays kind of like a Jet Set Radio that is more focused on combat than anything else. It was made by Insomniac in their era of like seeing what they can try out and do differently. I don't think it's an amazing game, but it's kind of worth just trying out for specifically the movement tech in it. The writing itself is hit or miss depending on how you feel about it. In my opinion, it hasn't aged very well. It has a lot of references to things that are not very relevant to today. Like there is a reference to NeoGAF of all things. The combat itself is good. Like the weapons feel decent to use, but progression in this game feels off kilter. It feels like there isn't enough currency to buy the weapons that you want to buy, because I did like all of the side quests and I still didn't have enough I think it's overcharge or some shit to be able to buy all of the guns. And I'm wondering how this game is supposed to function, because there's no way for you to buy everything unless you grind, and it's really weird in that regard. You do end up just needing like a handful of guns. It's good at dealing with each of the 4 enemy types in the game. And once you have that, it's a bit of a solved equation, but it is kind of boring once you figure that out. Overall, it was an interesting game to play. Interesting to see like what Insomniac was making before they went the, I guess, superhero game route. The next thing that I played was Robocop Rogue City Unfinished Business. This is the standalone DLC, I think it's called. It's basically a mini video game. It's not a full price game. If you liked Robocop Rogue City, you'll probably enjoy this. I don't think it's as good as just Rogue City. The plot is, in my opinion, even flimsier than that first game. It is a much harder game, especially initially. I think that the person that would play this is someone who really wants a bit more of just Rogue City action, but I would wait until it's about like $20 before you get this or play it on Game Pass. Otherwise, it's a bit of a ripoff in my opinion. The one big positive about this is the cryo cannon that is in the game that feels really good to use. But otherwise, it's basically a shorter, smaller, more focused version of what is Robocop Rogue City, and it loses something with that focus in my opinion. Next, we have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This game is basically Deus Ex Human Revolution as Indiana Jones. That's basically what this game is. And in that regard, I think overall they hit the vibe of this game pretty well. I do think that the game, when you start getting into like the maps that you get throughout the game worsens throughout the game. Because the first big map you get is the Vatican, and it is this vertical interconnected map with a lot of shortcuts and different ways to get across the map in interesting ways. The second big map you unlock is the Pyramids of Giza, and this is not interconnected. It's basically just a bunch of different tombs scattered throughout a big map of a desert. And so whenever you want to go do something different, you're just going to be either fast traveling or you're going to basically run or walk through a desert where very little is going on. And it's just a lot more boring of an experience. And then the third big map is even worse than that. I don't remember what the place is called, but it's basically a swamp. So instead of being able to run everywhere, you have to get into a boat that you pilot to wherever you need to go, then get out of the boat, because Indiana Jones doesn't swim faster than this boat. So I hope you like traveling around in a boat. You basically go from an interesting city to an okay desert to an awful water level, in my opinion. Throughout this game, you do get more linear focused dungeons and tombs and stuff to go through. Those are where I think this game is at its strongest, and even that regard, the ones in the swamp level to me are still the worst. It is just, in my opinion, the worst progression for a video game. And despite that, I still think it's good. I still think it's worth playing if you can get your hands on it for like $40. I will say that I kind of wish the game didn't have as much gun combat. The game is really fun whenever you are just in melee combat. Gun combat is very punishing, and you can die pretty quick from enemies that have guns, which is fair, but it ends up making the later levels even more of a drag because you're just trying to finish enemies off in ways where they don't shoot you, instead of engaging in a much more interesting melee combat system that is available. After Indiana Jones, I played The Operator. This is another one of those police hacking video games where you control someone that investigates crimes from like a desk and sometimes hacks into computers and solve puzzles in a way, but you're like framed as an operator for like the FBI in this game. This isn't as good mechanically as the Cyber Manhunt games that I played earlier this year, but it's still pretty good. I would say this has a better story, and they do have a sequel coming, and I'm kind of interested in that. But it is just sort of this like simulated point and click adventure game, sort of. After that, I played Tormented Souls, as I've been owning this for a couple of years now, and I felt it was time to finally go through it. It is a fixed camera angle horror game inspired by clearly Resident Evil more than anything else. This is a game that gets like a lot of broad strokes correctly. Like it gets like the atmosphere and the fixed camera angle and how to set sound and music, and it gets a lot of puzzles pretty right. There's only like a couple of puzzles that I had to look up the answers, and I felt out of those couple, like one of them felt like it was a bit too bullshit to figure out, which isn't bad for this type of game. But I would say it sort of flounders in like the details of doing things. Combat does not feel good in this game, and there's a lot of it, especially towards the final third of the game, where it starts becoming combat hallways. You have like 3 weapons: a nail gun, a pipe shotgun, and this like stun baton thing. Oh, also a crowbar for melee. And the shotgun's the only thing that kind of feels like it has any oomph. Everything else feels a little wonky in my opinion. The other big problem this game has is that the voice acting overall is bad. There is a sequel coming out. I hope that the voice acting has improved, but this voice acting in this game sort of just kind of comes off like someone reading off of a paper for the first time, which is a bit of a shame. And yeah, that's Tormented Souls. For a first outing for this developer, it's okay. It could be a lot worse, but there's a lot better out there, like Signalis and Crow Country. After that, I played Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I'll just call it Spider-Man 2. It is a game that I'm a bit disappointed with. Up front, I'm going to say that I'm going to be positive up front and say the things that I like. They made great improvements to the combat itself. I feel like I had a lot less whiffed attacks in this game. I'm all for the streamlining of the gadgets that you have. Instead of the weapon wheel of 8 gadgets, they shave it down to 4 that do everything you need them to do. Both Peter and Miles have a set of 4, well, more than 4, but at least available at a time, 4 special abilities. This was the case in Miles Morales, and I'm glad that they stuck with that. And also, Kraven as a villain is awesome. he's the best part of the game as far as story goes. Now I want to talk about my negatives. So I think this game's story is really weak in the final third, especially. Does not have enough time to build, and it's very clear they ran out of money and they had to rush that final act to the point that a lot of things that happen just don't have enough time to settle. Two, I'm just going to be honest, I've never been a big fan of the Peter Parker symbiote storylines. It's just a personal preference. They're just not my type of thing. So there's that. Three, I think that rebuilding the entire map around web wings was a mistake. I think that they should not have added that extra area off to the east of the map so that they could introduce web wings. I think that was a bad idea. Because to me, web wings are a much more boring and efficient way of getting around. And by boring and efficient, I mean you can set them up and you don't even have to think about it. You just have to set it up, and you just have to occasionally tap the dash button, which is X or A if you're on Xbox. Peter or Miles will get to the destination much faster than he would if you swing. And the web wings, to me, have so little input that's needed. You basically autopilot your way to any destination. They even give you these wind tunnels, and to me, the wind tunnels are the perfect example of I just want to get to the other side. And I kind of hate it. I feel that it's taken away from how swinging through the city feels so good, and I think that this was a mistake. And my final problem with the game, I'm going to say, is I'm going to get into spoilers here because I want to talk about this. In Spider-Man 2, they're clearly setting up a baton pass from Peter to Miles, and I don't think it's handled well. The final conversation that Peter has with Miles about taking over the Spider-Man title, I feel is really weird, because Peter basically asks Miles, like, hey, could you take over? I need to be able to have my life, and this Spider-Man thing has taken over my life in so many ways that it's affected me negatively, and I need to be able to focus on my life to set myself straight. And he says this to Miles, as throughout the entire game, Miles has been talking about how Spider-Man is affecting his ability to get into college. And Peter knows this. Not only that, but when he's offering this to Miles, it is just established that Peter is like launching his own non-profit charity organization that he'll be the head of. And at that point, like, that would be like the perfect cover for Peter to have like a job that he could not have to answer to anyone and still achieve goals while also being Spider-Man. So it's basically like Peter's like, hey, I need you to take over because this kind of sucked. Even though I know right now you are at a moment where you need all the time and I don't anymore. It's just really weird. I feel like this whole handoff is a bit of a mess. Not only that, but this was like sort of a topic at the end of Miles Morales, because Peter wanted Miles around so that Miles can take the load off of Peter. And that was the case at the beginning of the game when Miles initially wanted to go take care of Sandman. But then it was revealed that, you know, Sandman is a bit of a bigger problem at the moment, and it would have required both of them to take care of Sandman. Like, this is the case in the game. I don't know what this game wants. I feel like this game doesn't realize what happened in itself. It's really weird and off-putting for me. I feel like this is the weirdest baton pass. Like, I don't care if it's given to Miles Morales. I don't care about that. But this is such a weird handoff. I think that was handled very poorly. So after that, I played The Drifter. This is a Australian point-and-click adventure game where you play as a homeless person. And I will give the premise of Basically, it's not very clear to the character you play as what is going on. It's sort of vague for a large part of the game whether or not your character is like schizophrenic, it's a government plot, or it's aliens, or a combination of all those things. It's just your character isn't quite sure what's going on, but he does have the ability to rewind time after he dies, usually only 30 seconds to a minute before he dies. So he has enough time to do something and live. But overall, the Drifter is good. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone outside of people who enjoy point-and-click adventure games. And the main reason is that I would say that the ending sort of doesn't fully hit the landing properly. The final area is a bit of a letdown, along with a lot of the answers that you get. Overall, it's fine. I think that it could be a lot better, but it also could be a lot worse. Then I played The Great Villianess Strategy of Lily. This was a game that I actually showcased in one of my Steam Next Fest videos, and I was very interested in playing it. It is like Fire Emblem in the micro combat encounter fight to fight, where you have like 3 types of unit that are strong against each other in different ways. And then it's combined with this sort of like Risk, I think that's the board game, where every point can hold X amount of units and you can send those units to another to take another spot over. And a lot of this game is about establishing supply lines and breaking the enemy's supply lines so that they can't heal themselves in between rounds. A lot of this game's writing is fine, like on a broad scale. The story really isn't that amazing or different, but a lot of what you're dealing with is character writing. In that regard, I actually really like most of the characters in this game. There's about 20 or so. If you wanted a Fire Emblem-esque strategy game, more macro level than Fire Emblem ever was, I would recommend this game. I think it has a demo out on all platforms it's on. As far as I'm concerned, this is a bit of a hidden gem. It's not that popular, but I would say go check out that demo to see if you would like to play it. So far, I love it. It's one of my favorite games this year. And finally, because I was disappointed with Spider-Man 2, I decided to replay another Sony open world game with Ghost of Tsushima. Because Ghost of Yotei is coming out, I figured, might as well go back to Tsushima, see if I still like it, what I don't like. Overall, I still enjoy it. I do think it has problems. I think a lot of the combat stances aren't used to their fullest, especially like the heavy enemy stance and the spear stance are useless in most boss fights. For whatever reason, the game also only waits until the final third of the game to let you play in the ghost armor. I wish you could get it a bit earlier. Like, you should, in my opinion, you should be getting that at the like 1/3 mark. One of the missions should give that to you. There's a perfect missions for Yarikawa that you would be able to get it. I don't know why that's not what happens. And yeah, those are my 2 biggest gripes with it. Outside of that, it's pretty good, and it still stands as one of the better open world game types out there. Oh, also the other problem I have is the swapping out gear. I hope they're able to streamline it even more in the second game, because I know they did an update that streamlined it a lot better, but I feel that there's things they can do to make it even better. And that's everything that I played in July. As always, thank you for coming by and listening. This is the Red Riot Robot, signing out.